Hello everyone, I am Lacey Kemp here with Nicole Formosa and Ryan Palmer, and we are at the 2018 edition of the Bike Mag Bible of Bike Tests in beautiful Marquette, Michigan, currently at Black Rocks Brewing. How's your beer?
It's delicious, thanks Black Rocks.
Today we tested the Ibis Mojo HD4. It is a 160, 150, 3-mil travel all mountain bike. It is a 2.6, so maybe a plus bike depending on your parameters of plus.
Skinny plus.
Skinny plus. Plus light. What is your overall opinion? What do you think of this guy?
To me, it honestly, other 2.6, like the Pivot Mach 5.5, which we also tested today, felt like a plus bike in certain situations. This, I sort of never
noticed.
Thought it felt like a plus bike. It climbed really well. It was fast.
It's efficient. It pedals really well. I feel like it's always sitting in kind of its neutral position, ready to either, if you get on the gas, it has pedaling support, and if there's bumps in the way, it'll soak those up too. I feel like it's a really balanced bike as far as that is concerned, and you can leave it in the open position and it'll climb all day, right? And then you start going downhill and it's pretty supple.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as climbing goes, when we got on our double track road, this is the first bike that I tested, and I was kind of just in my head kind of preconditioned to be like, it's a wider tire, it's gonna be kind of sluggish, but man, this thing just shot up the double track, no problem, wide open. And I'm talking behind my shoulder, I can't stop. It was easy. It was really comfortable to climb with, I thought.
I think part of that is we got the carbon wheel upgrade on this bike, and I think that has a lot to do with that acceleration and feeling like it's really going out of the gate.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the build, right? I mean, it is a pretty cool build because it's a GX level build.
Yeah.
It's got,
but it has suspension,
which is basically the factory suspension without the Kashima coat, which in my opinion looks cooler because it's black. The only sort of drawback to the build, I think, would be the dropper post. It's the budget version of the KS dropper post.
It's really the lever, not so much the post.
Yeah, that's true, right? You could just change out the lever for the Southpaw style because this is kind of you have to reach a little bit more for that style one.
I did not, for the record, notice that.
You didn't notice that?
At all.
Oh, well, that's good. Maybe other people won't.
Post-lever snob, admittedly.
But, Nicole, you made a really interesting point when we were talking about this bike before the roundtable, is that this bike spends where you need to spend and it saves where you need to save, right? You spend the money on the wheels, on the suspension.
Yeah.
The tires are really nice on this bike. You're getting a good drivetrain, even though it's the quote budget GX Eagle. It's still a great drivetrain.
It still works pretty much the same as the.
If you need that extra boost going up, you have it. And then let's switch over to maneuverability, right? Because we have some differing opinions on how this bike felt. I kind of thought this bike felt very, very planted, and I think that you might agree with me that it was this is a bike that you ride on the ground.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it felt like a long, stable, planted bike to me.
Totally, I agree. And when I went to go try to jump it, I was kind of struggling getting it off the ground, which I'm not a big jumper anyway, but I like to kind of play sometimes. And so I came back and told Palmer that. And
yeah, I'm not a big jumper either, but I like to do lots of micro jumps, and I feel like I could get it off the ground whenever I wanted to.
Yeah.
And it manuals well. Most of the geometry numbers on this bike are sort of middle of the road. It's a conservative. It's not doing anything crazy. It's not super long in the front end. It's not super short in the rear end. But that makes it a really sort of balanced bike. I felt like I was riding in the bike instead of on it, which is cool, I was able to, when I go into corners, I felt that rear wheel exactly where it was, and I could push the slide of it and really control that. And for me, that's one of the most fun feelings on a bike,
Of the 3 bikes we tested today, the Ibis, the Yeti Lunch Ride SB5 edition, and the Pivot Mach 5.5, descending to me, this one felt like the race car. The one where I could just kind of sit back and be like, woo! I think I even screamed riding down the trail at least once. Out of joy, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Yeti has a lot of the same capability.
Without that
it doesn't
cloud.
Feel,
But it's not as
stable
reactive.
at speed for me, at least.
I think that has to do with that's where, maybe you do feel that plus tire is
or the
descending.
Plus tire.
Yeah, plus, I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, it's
sort of plus.
It's
But that
meaty.
Can we just
wider,
call
you
it a two? Can we just call it a 2.6?
You feel that wider tire.
Yeah.
When you're descending for sure.
I agree.
It is really nice to have that on there because it's more of a point and shoot situation on this bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love descending on this thing.
So who do you think this
Plus
bike?
it has the pork chop.
Oh, sorry. Nicole, tell us about the pork chop.
I just think it's a cool little marketing thing
What is the pork chop?
So
The
it's
pork chop.
it's a bag they had designed for
to
the
fit
space.
specifically in.
Yeah, Blackburn makes it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it'll hold, some spare tools and whatever else you want to put in there, it's like Skittles or whatever.
So overall, I think this bike is really, for the value, I think it's pretty killer. I've ridden a couple of the other Ibis Mojo models, and they've always performed really nice. And I didn't come to this saying this is going to be a great bike, but I wasn't surprised that it was a great bike. And so far, to me, this is my favorite bike that I've ridden so far here.
Yeah, this bike is really near the top of my list too. And I'm excited to ride the other bikes, but yeah, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy taking this one home with me.
Sure.
I would be too. I don't think there's much you would have to change other than the dropper lever to be totally happy with this bike.
Change it. That about wraps it up. Thanks for checking us out, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out the rest of the Bike Mag Bible Test videos.